Just 160 kilometers north of Los Angeles sits the desert town of Tehachapi. Established in the 1860s, Tehachapi was once a bustling center for mining, ranching, and logging. Today, with most of the local industry now dedicated to wind farming, living around here may be quieter, but building a home in this extreme environment is a huge challenge. Living in a rough, tough desert landscape requires a special kind of resilience. Hidden in this remote landscape, 8 kilometers down a dirt track, with only a few coyotes for company, lies an extraordinary secret home. Invisible to all except the owners, concealed deep in the wilderness, this contemporary retreat, called the Sawmill, as a nod to past local industry, sits in around 140,000 square meters of land, giving the owners total seclusion from the modern world. With their main home in LA, owners, engineer Bruce Schaefer and retired art teacher and ceramicist wife Carol wanted an escape from busy city life. But realizing their dream home in this arid wilderness was no simple task.
It's an unexpected surprise back here. It looks like it belongs, but it's a surprising and delightful thing to come across. It's different from every angle. There's all these rectangles that fit together in interesting ways, and it's just always interesting.
This unusually shaped house has been designed to make the most of its extreme surroundings.
Welcome to Sawmill. This is our getaway.
This home of 248 square meters is built with all its main rooms on one level in the middle of a tough desert landscape. Its layout is inspired by the idea of tents encircling a central campfire. The house is comprised of 3 wings. Each wing has a bedroom and an ensuite bathroom. One doubles up as an office, the other as an artist's studio. A solid concrete central hearth in the living room connects the rooms together. There's also an expansive kitchen and dining room and basement storage.
Usually there's a little bit of wow when people first show up.
Yeah, there's a bit of magnificence that people look up and they look around. It reminds me how I feel when I walk into like a cathedral or something.
The house is filled with drama and light. But first and foremost, Bruce and Carol wanted a home where friends and family could come together and enjoy the beauty of the desert setting.
This is a room where the family gathers in the evening usually, and it's the common area. It's the space where we enjoy each other's company and relax and enjoy the warmth of the fireplace.
The hearth sits at the heart of this modern take on the classic Californian country cabin. The fireplace is built from solid concrete.
So another nice thing about the fireplace is these steel doors that gives you full access to the fireplace.
I think it's like having a sculpture in the middle of the room. I think it's a really beautiful object in itself.
There you go.
The concrete chimney has an internal flue. So when the fire is lit, heat rises up the flue, the concrete warms up, and emits heat back into the entire open-plan space. For Bruce and Carol, creating this house was not only about having a home that could take in the breathtaking surroundings, but also creating a focal point for family and friends.
The living room is a small gathering area, but looking that way is this grand view that I never get tired of.
And what a view it is.
This is one of the 3 boxes that are around the main room. Each of these boxes has its own bathroom, and this is the guest room that we probably use the most. It's also Bruce's office.
The nice thing about the separate wings is that you can close these big barn doors and feel like you're in your own space, and you can retreat from the larger group.
This is a house full of surprises. It's about boxes that connect with each other and rooms that reveal other rooms.
This is my studio. It's where I do my ceramics work. When we designed this space, I wanted it to be a creative workspace, but we also knew that it had to be a guest room.
And engineer Bruce had a fantastic idea.
So as I turn this wheel, the bed is lowering. It's able to do that because we have a cable system from here all the way over to the bed, and we have a counterweight that allows it to be done with very little effort.
This so fits my husband's personality. Just designing this whole gadget, and it was challenging, but he totally made it work, and it's awesome.
Looking at this spectacular home, you'd be forgiven for thinking Bruce and Carol had been designing it in their heads for years. But the reality behind the genesis of their home is rather surprising.
The land came first without knowing what we were going to build. I think I typed something into Google like cool cabins. That was the very beginning of looking for Tom.
Bruce and Carol worked with the internationally renowned architect Tom Kundig to design their new home.
They were wondering if I would even be remotely interested in working on this really remote site in California, and of course, I couldn't be more excited about that.
And once Tom was on board, the final design quickly followed.
It was very clear because of this remote site that this was a house that had to be efficiently laid out. Everybody has their own separate bedroom, their own area. As their kids grow up and they have kids, they have their own, almost like a little hut attached to this central core of the building. That's where the family comes together. In a kind of wonderful way, you could say this is the campfire. This is where the family gathers around that campfire.
Once the design was complete, the build got underway and took 5 years to finish. And what Tom created was an utterly breathtaking modern take on the country cabin. This isolated home conceals one final secret.
One conversation I remember having with Tom is that we found any excuse to go outside. And so he just took that and made a living space where we basically had that all the time.
Tom devised a glass wall that can be completely removed, blurring the lines between the house and nature.
Here we go.
The hand wheel and accompanying gearbox are from an old water pump found on site by Bruce. This wheel operates a small gearbox that turns a long steel shaft. The shaft is attached to another gearbox, which engages with a concealed chain. Just like a chain on a bicycle, as the chain turns, the glass wall weighing 1,360 kilos opens smoothly.
These devices are literally just extensions of us. When you do something manually, you actually become part of that machine.
Maybe the door is a guy thing, but to move the entire wall of a house by your hands, it's very satisfying.
Bruce and Carol live in a house that is spectacular, yet homely too. It is a beautiful little slice of modernity in the Southern Californian desert that will be loved and enjoyed for many years to come. Coming up, a coastal retreat and an extreme jungle escape.